Welcome back to another CRM AnyWare instructional video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to launch your first website. So there's different website options. You can launch a funnel from the landing page, or you can launch a website from the website tab. So first you want to create new funnel, and you have these three options to choose from. I'll show you how to create from a template. So when you're choosing a template, you can browse through these different options. We have these browse categories here that you could choose from. So let's say I wanted to create a business and coaching website. This one looks nice, so I'm going to preview it. You can view it in a computer, tablet, and mobile form. So I'm going to choose a template. And once your template is loaded into the CRM, you are brought to this funnel editor. So this is going to show you a preview of the first page on your funnel or website. You can change the different images. So for example, let's say I wanted to change this image. I could just choose from my file system, and you can adjust your image width, height. There's all these different options here to adjust your elements. You'll have the general element options. You can adjust the styles in this tab here. And you can also, for specific elements like images and buttons and titles and paragraphs, you can create animations. So for this one, I could create an entrance animation. If I want, I could make it fade in, and then I could adjust the animation by its scale. This is the duration of the animation. Usually I like to make the duration a little bit quicker just for user experience. And you can also set a delay, so it won't fade in until 1 second after this section of the website has loaded in. You can change the way it eases. You could have it ease in. You could have a linear ease. You have these other options here. So you could play around and see which animations work best for your requirements. The elements are all going to have different containers that contain other containers. So as you can see, this is a section, and then the section will have rows. Those rows will have elements. So this is a headline element. This next row has 4 columns, and each column has different elements. So images and headlines within as well. One tip I like to say is to make sure that all of your margin and padding for each section is so that everything looks aligned. To adjust the margin and padding of a section, you just click the section, go to styles, check the margin and padding. The margin is going to change how far away it is from the other elements, and then the padding is going to change how the elements within that section are padded. So for example, if I were to get rid of this ADPX padding, as you can see, that padding within this section goes away. So you can also make the margins negative. So let's say you want a certain element to overlap with another element. So as you can see, this element starts to overlap with this element. You don't have to just go with this preset 50. You could also do like 800. This is kind of an extreme example. Something that I also would like to note, for all of the images on your website, it's usually good to have an alternate name for SEO and ADA. So in all of your images, under where you are selecting the image you want to include, you can put the alt text. Another element that I would like to focus on is the nav bar. You would choose your different menu items here. You can edit each of the menu items. So each item can either go to a website, go to a step, or open a pop-up. For example, if I wanted it to go to a step, I can choose one of the steps in my funnel. If I wanted it to go to a website, I would have to actually put the URL of the website. With the website editor, when you're going to a website URL, you can also just choose a specific section within this website that you're editing, so you don't have to put a full URL. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. Up here, I just wanted to comment on the different options that you have. So you have this add elements option here, and you can choose between all of these different elements. One thing I like to do is actually create saved assets. So for example, you have these saved section elements, and you can create templates that you can use in multiple different pages. So for example, let's say I want to turn this element into a template. I would just hover over it and then go to this print icon, and it's going to allow me to save the element. You just set the name, so I'll just call it that. And you can either create a universal element so that every time you change one instance of this element, all the other instances will change as well. Or you could just create a template so that people can use that as a template and then change it, but it won't change the original instance. So I'll just do that to show you. So this is really a use case for when you want to go to different pages and copy and paste an element, because within a web page, you can just clone a element by pressing this clone button, but you can't clone it and then bring it to another page unless you create an element template like I showed you here. So let me show you that. I can then add my saved element by going to saved assets, element templates, and then you'll see your element right there. And then you can drag and drop it into whatever section you would like in the website. There's also the option for universal sections and universal elements. A great use case for using that is the nav bar and the footer of your website. So for example, let's say I want a universal footer that I can drag and drop into each page of my website. And every time I change the footer in one instance, it gets updated in all of the other instances so that my footer looks the same on each of my pages. I would just hover over the footer, press save section, and then I can create either a global section. So this saves it at the funnel level so that every time you change this instance of the element within the website or the funnel, it changes all the other footers in that website or funnel. Or you have the option to use the universal section. So this saves it at an account level. So any other instance across any other websites on your account will change and have that one universal footer every time you make changes. So I will just do it on the global section and you would name it accordingly. So if I were to go to another page, let's say I go to the thank you page, let me save my changes first. I can quickly just go to my saved assets, go to my global sections, and then as you can see, the global footer that I saved will be there for me to use. And let's say I make an edit here. So let's say I add a logo to this footer. As you can see here, these changes will sync across all other instances. So if I press save and I go to the other page, which also has this footer, there you go. The change instantly gets synced with all the other instances of that footer. The next element is the layers element. So each page will be broken up into different hierarchical levels. So first we have the page, which is then broken down into sections. The sections are broken down into smaller elements and smaller elements. Think of it like a nesting doll. So as you can see, it's highlighting the different sections that are selected in this layers. So this is a quick way to kind of navigate through the page you're editing and to select specific elements within that page. You can move the sections around quickly here as well. From here, you can also hide, edit, clone, or delete the different elements within your page. You have the pages icon, which I've been utilizing already. It'll show you all the pages in your funnel so you can go through your different pages. You have the option to add a page as well and add the URL slug for that page. You can create a tracking code, so either a header tracking or a footer tracking code on each page. You can write custom CSS. One custom CSS line that I like to include is the smooth scroll option. Let's say you have the website set up so that when you press a button, it goes to a specific element on the page. Instead of just jumping there, it can be a little bit jarring for the user. You can set up this scroll behavior to be smooth, and then that way it scrolls up smoothly and it just looks a lot nicer and more professional. So I'll show you an example. One example to show you how smooth scrolling works. If you press the nav bar, so here, as you can see, it goes to a specific section of the page when you press it. So this is a great use case for showing smooth scrolling. So let me just save it real quick. Let me make sure that the custom CSS is here. Looks good. If you press preview, so this is a preview of the website. If I press the About Us, as you can see, it smoothly scrolls there. Whereas if I were to remove the custom CSS for smooth scrolling, now if I go to About Us, see how it just jumps there? It can be a little jarring and not very visually appealing to users, so that's just something to keep in mind. You don't have to do that, but it's just a use case for that custom CSS. For typography, this is where you'll set the headline font that gets applied to each headline element in your page, as well as the content font for any content in your page. So for example, right now it says to play fair display. I can change it to this, and then it changes all of the different headlines to have that font. You can change the text color and link color that gets applied to most of the text as well. And you can also change the background of the website here. Here, most of the sections have their own custom backgrounds, but so I think this one might not have its own background. So as you can see, any section that doesn't have its own set background, this background color will be applied. You can also change your pop-up settings. So you can create different pop-ups that when a certain button is clicked or a certain action is done, the pop-ups show up. So you just create a new pop-up. You can customize the elements of the pop-up here. You can go to the pop-up settings, which will show up on the right-hand side. We can change their position. You can change their styles. You can just play around with that here. You can also add SEO and AI search optimization. It'll give you all of these different sections to fill out so that when people are searching for your website, this is what's going to show up on Google or whatever search engine they're using. So it'll show the header of that website page, the description of the page. You can add keywords and author, all of these different elements here. And also if you're creating any custom code within your website, so that's an element that you can add. So you can add a code here, for example. All right, so I just got this off of the internet, but let's say I wanted to add a div with a paragraph that is a secret message. I can have this button that shows the secret message when the user presses it. And then in the script tag, you would just have the functionality to get this to perform properly. So you just put all of your JavaScript within there, press save. And then as you can see, if I have this preview custom codes toggled on, I'll see what it would look like on the website. Without that toggled on, it'll just look like a custom HTML JavaScript tag. So just for an example, let me save this and show you how this would function. And then there you go. It performs properly. You can show your message. You can hide your message. So this is one of the use cases of the custom code elements that you can add into your website. And then this is how you would preview what they would look like in the layout. Finally, we have the cookie consent option. So you can enable cookie consent banner. So just make sure when you're putting this together that if you do enable cookie consent, you take care of everything in this message because that would be your responsibility. So let me just quickly show you what that would look like. And then you can set the general settings, the styling options, advanced settings, and region settings for your cookie consent banner. You can change the layout so it could be a top banner, left floating banner. And this is just what it would look like here. And then this is the cookie list. So you can show or not show the customize button, and then they can customize what cookies they want in this website. So that's just something to keep in mind too. And that's everything I really wanted to show you in terms of editing your website. Once everything looks good, you can either connect this custom domain that we generate for you within the CRM, or you can connect your own domain if you have one like with GoDaddy or somewhere else that you purchased. You can connect that here and you just go through all of the connection settings by pressing the connect domain link. Then you just press save. And then once your domain is connected, you can publish your website. And just make sure whenever you're making edits to always save your edits. We have an autosave option, so you can turn autosave on in case you tend to forget to do that. Something to note, if you're editing a website that's already published, you have to make sure after all of your changes that not only do you save, but you also make sure to publish those changes too, so that it's reflected within the website that a user could see. And that's everything for the website editor. The last few things I wanted to discuss in terms of websites were these settings here. So you can view your website stats, your website sales, your website security. So you can add security headers here, like the content security policy. And we have an option for you to get help with security headers. You can create specific tracking events using meta tags. And then you also have these settings here. So this is where you can change the domain it's connected to. You can change what the path for the website is. You can add a favicon, which is just this image that's shown in the top tag. You can add heading, body tracking codes. The heading tracking code I like to use if I am using, like, for example, a userway NDA compliance widget. You can embed that script for that compliance widget in this heading tracking code here. The chat widget, you can create a chat widget over here, add that to your website, and then it'll show up on your website for people to chat with. You have all these different options here. And then once all of your settings look good, you would just save your settings and your website should be good to go. So I hope this instructional video was helpful. I know it was a little longer than most of them, but there's just a lot to these different websites. But yeah, thank you. I hope this was helpful.